Yo, welcome to Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach, along with my partner, Mr. Adi Wally. You know, we got a big boxing show for y'all today. And if we talking boxing, you know, we got Byron here in the building. Man, we got some big fight to talk about. But before we get into that, make sure you go on the YouTube page, Spectator Sporting. Subscribe to that page, like, comment. We do enjoy your comments. We do comment back, and we appreciate all the love and all the hate y'all give us. Much appreciated. Let's talk about this. He's finally back in the ring. Jaron Boots Ennis. He's from Philly, 27 years old, comes in 33-0, 29-0, and is the IBF World Welterweight Champion. Last fight won a unanimous decision against Karen Chukazan. Boots had a knockdown in round five of the fight, and Karen was deducted a point in this fight in round 10 for holding, but he did come out with a big-time victory. But now he's going against a tough guy. This is not going to be an easy fight. Eimantas Stanionis, 30 years old, from Lithuania, comes in 15-0, 9 knockouts. Last fight won a unanimous decision against Gabriel. Say the last name?
Maestre.
Yes. Thank you. Eimantas now has the biggest fight in the career, and he wants to prove he belongs. Byron, talk about this fight.
I don't like this fight. No.
Oh man, come on, man.
You know, I don't really understand Boots Ennis. So we kind of already hit on Boots Ennis and his trajectory. After the Karen Chukazan fight, he got in the ring and it wasn't his best performance. Although Chukazan basically was defeated in that fight, I thought it was a very competitive fight. As opposed to the first fight. So you got a guy that you got a unanimous decision on, and you're facing him again, so you guys have knowledge of each other. And I thought Karen was a lot better in that second fight. And Boots just seemed very, very mortal. You know, it kind of took away his mystique at 147. And so then he said that, you know, maybe it was the weight thing and, you know, maybe, you know, he is on Terence Crawford's coattails. He's going to go to 154. He had us believing that he was going to 154. And then when a fight with Madrimov kind of materialized, now we see a Boots Ennis that wants to unify the championship at 147. And I think for me, he had a very golden opportunity to go after a Brian Norman Jr., who I believe he was the WBO interim at the time. And you have you get him off a 10-month layoff. I think that's a fight that actually sells, and you duck him. And, you know, Brian Norman Jr.'s camp claims that he ducked him. In my opinion, he ducked him. And you take on, you know, Stanionis in a fight where, you know, it's, as far as compared to Chukazan, it's a guy that doesn't have a lot of movement.
Right.
And I think it's more of a pick'em fight for him. But I think he kind of made a mistake because Stanionis is going to be a lot tougher than Chukazan. So I really want to see, you know, as far as the American talent, you know, as it pertains to 147, 140, 135, I want to see these guys push themselves. And I feel like Boots Ennis has a name, you know, and he has a resume that can be respected. But I think you fight a Brian Norman Jr. fight, and it prepares you better for this fight. You know, Stanionis is ranked number 3 right now as far as the 147-pound division. And I just would have loved to see him against the guy that, you know, was kind of calling him out and wanted to fight him. And I thought it would be a lot more competitive. I think he's kind of throwing himself in the fire after a very subpar performance. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I know a lot of Boots stands are going to run to the comment section and say, oh, you hating, you doing all of this. And I'm going to quickly remind you, he told us he was going to 154. And he told us he was the next best thing. He was the guy that was going to take out Bud Crawford, the best in boxing.
Sounded good.
And that's my thing.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of these fighters that sound good, that say these things and get you kind of fired up, and they backpedal so damn fast. Like they out of the ring with that backpedal. You know, shout out to Tank Davis. So I just wanna see Jaron Ennis kind of step into, let the actions catch up to the mouth. And right now the mouth is cashing more checks.
Well, I always bring it up. You keep playing with fire, you're gonna get burned. Not to say that, he's underestimating or that Stanionis ain't that guy. Maybe he is, but you duck one person, there's another person that's waiting for you. You get a wrong person a shot, you're gonna be gone.
And it always happens like that. It always happens. I think it happened to Munguia.
Yeah.
I mean, through boxing history, you see it where you duck smoke and then you run into a guy that you think you can run over, and then you get ran over.
It don't work like that. Adi, talk to me about fight. Boots Ennis. What is it looking like for him in this fight?
Well, Veril Ortiz Jr., he claims that Boots ducked him too.
Yeah.
So that's two
So is
people.
Boots? How many duckers we got in boxing right now? It's a lot of. We could talk about that another time.
let's
but
do a duck show.
It's been a whole year of talking about ducking from boxers right now. And I'm with Byron. I'm starting to be on Byron roll. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of people claim Brian Norman claimed that he got ducked by Boots too. So we'll see. It's hard to know what's going on in negotiations.
That's true.
That's true.
It's
always
closed.
2 side stories.
Yeah, it's always 2 sides. And so, but instead of a unnecessary November rematch versus Karen Chukajan, Boots Ennis was supposed to fight a man with a much easier to pronounce name, Brian Norman Jr. Okay, that would have been way easier to pronounce.
Yeah.
But Brian Norman Jr., he is the WBO champ. He's the WBO champ. That would have been a unification fight. So a lot of he say, she say, who ducked who.
Right.
Boots say he didn't duck him. So, but
This is where we at now.
yeah, that's where we at. So for the second time, Boots Ennis, he fought Karen Chukajan. And this time, Chukajan left his track shoes in Ukraine, okay? All of a sudden, he turned into a pressure fighter. And this drastic change in strategy threw Boots Ennis and his father, Derek Bootsy Ennis, all the way off, all right? But in the 5th round, Boots Ennis did slip a Chukajan right hand and countered with a painful left hook. And then he ended up following that up with a right uppercut. And Chukajan was hurt. He wisely took a knee, no grease in his eyes, okay? Took a knee.
Can't blame the hair this time.
Right, he was bald headed.
No hair braiding controversy, even though he doesn't have braids.
Right. I mean, if you take a knee, you're hurt. Okay.
Yeah, you down.
But it was wise. He gathered himself. He survived for the rest of the 5th round. He finished the fight strong. But Boots and his father kept telling him, get him out of here. Going for the knockout. But that was problematic because, see, Boots Ennis, he did not establish the jab with that 74-inch reach, all right? And this allowed Chukajan to close the distance and continue his dirty boxing, which clearly frustrated Boots Ennis. And I had Chukajan winning 3 out of the last 4 rounds, and Boots Ennis looked mentally and physically drained.
He closed that fight so strong.
Boots did not. Chukajan closed the fight strong, but Boots, he just did not look right in the championship rounds.
Yeah,
and that's why when the reporter was talking to him after the fight and Boots was looking, he knew he didn't perform well. Yes. You can tell it on his body language and the way he was.
He was for the excuses.
Yep.
And he was talking like, "Hey man, I need to go 154." Boots is a big guy. He's 5'10". He's big. Yeah. He was like, He was talking like I believed that he was going to go to 154. And then I was believing the Veril Ortiz rumors and the Madrimov rumors. And I'm like, okay, he's going to do this. And I was thinking he was weight drained. That's why he didn't look good.
Right.
But he's stayed at 147, saying he want to unify. He changed his mind. He want to unify. He's going against Stanionis. I hope he don't think he's a cupcake because he's not. So that's where we at.
That's where we at.
So let's talk about Stanionis. All right, so like I said, 15-0, 9 knockouts. Like Byron said, number 3 ranked in the division. So as far as ranking, this is I guess it's a decent fight. Boots is It's a good fight. It's supposed to be a competitive fight. What do you think about Stanionis, Adi, trying to pull off the upset?
Yeah, the Lithuanian Sensation Stanionis. He's the Lithuania's first boxing champion in the country's history. Okay, so the country's behind him. Eimantas Stanionis, he was also supposed to fight Veril Ortiz Jr., but he had an appendectomy, and then Veril Ortiz started having health issues of his own. So it kept them. These guys, Stanionis and Veril Ortiz, were supposed to fight on 3 separate occasions, but the health problems kept these guys apart. Okay,
That's crazy.
Stanionis is a good test for Boots Ennis because he looks like a shorter, less powerful version of Veril Ortiz Jr., but Stanionis' defensive skills is much better. He's known for that high, solid guard. Very solid high guard Stanionis has, okay? And he just broke a 2-year fight drought in his last fight versus the Venezuelan Gabriel Maestre, okay? And those sharp power jabs, he was causing a lot of damage with that. Then he'll mix in some left hooks and power shots to the body. And so in Boots' last fight, he landed 47 jabs. In Stanionis' last fight, he damn near tripled that with 136 jabs. A lot of fighters don't even throw 136 jabs.
And it's a power jab. It's more of a straight.
Yes.
It's a power jab.
He throws it a lot. That's what he builds off of, that jab, and he's coming forward. He's a pressure fighter. So Chukajan, his pressure in dirty boxing flustered Boots Ennis in that last fight. Stanionis is a natural pressure fighter. This is a Chukajan, what he was doing, he don't really do that. That's not really how
he went outside his game.
Stanionis, he does this naturally. So this is going to be a problem for Boots.
Byron, are you with Adi that this could be an issue for Boots?
I just want to bring this up. This is like the first time that I've followed Adi with a fighter that I watched, and he didn't take all my notes and ruin it. So I'm gonna look a little smart with this.
Okay.
Stanionis, watching this guy fight, I was thoroughly impressed. The jab is way better. Fights off his front foot, but it's something else that, a lot of you stands, you run to the record and you look at the records and you say, oh, this guy, he's only 15-0, this guy only won. Stanionis' amateur background, 141 wins out of 160 amateur fights.
Wow, that's amazing.
Very impressive. He is fundamentally sound. The guard is legit, and the jab is a power jab. And it's something that he based his offense of. And in the fight against Chukazan, Boots Ennis seemed so susceptible to that check left hook. He got hit with it a lot. And that is one of Stanionis' staples. He goes to it and he loves to muck it up, dirty it, like dirty boxing. I am a fan of dirty boxers. Like if you get on the inside and the little David Benavidez moving the glove, or the Tyson Fury grabbing when you shouldn't and putting the hooks. Hey, I think that's part of fighting. I mean, it's a fight. And so Stanionis impressed me. I really didn't go in depth on, his career and the fights that he have, but you take away the 2-year layoff for the injuries, and you imagine this guy had 2 years, and he would be in a conversation at 147. I would have loved to see him against some of the top guys who kind of migrated to 154, but he's a guy that will probably end up at 154. He's got a big frame. But this guy is very fundamentally sound. And so coming off the fight, that Boots Ennis just fought with Chukazan, and, Chukazan kind of threw him a curveball, with the way that he approached the fight. But Stanionis is basically, this is his offensive, this is what he wants to do in the fight. He wants to muck it up. He wants to get you on the back foot, and he will fight in a phone booth with you. And the left hook is legit, but everything works behind the jab. And when you look at Boots Ennis, sometimes he has in a fight where, he's so, like, don't take this as hate for Boots Ennis, but he kind of gets happy with the pot shots. He'll land a shot, then he wants to run, or he doesn't really sit on his jab like he should. And when you have that type of strategy against a fundamentally sound fighter like Stanionis, it can create a lot of issues. And I think Stanionis, with that amateur background, this is a fight that, while some will say this is a very big jump for him in his career, I don't think he sees it as that. I think this is a challenge, of course, but I think he's prepared. He's a champion, and this is a fight he wants to fight. You know, because I don't think Boots Ennis has the pop of a Brian Norman Jr. And so I think while they might go back and forth with the rounds, I think in the championship round, Stanionis will be a lot stronger than previous opponents that Boots has faced. I really like this guy. He has a very high output and the 68-inch reach. Of course, Boots will have the reach on a lot of fighters. You know, that's 74. That's crazy. A 74-inch reach.
That's a hell of a reach.
That's a hell of a reach.
Yeah.
But to have that type of reach and don't have the legit jab, because the better jab in this fight is Stanionis. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Even though he's shorter.
Yeah, shorter, but a better jab. Right. It's kind of crazy.
That's crazy.
But I like looking at this guy, looking at his resume, and you have to watch these fights. Like, don't just go by the records or go by what the podcasters will tell you to do. Like, literally go and watch these fights, see him in the ring. I think Stanionis is a very legit opponent, very legit.
Adi, you brought up something, and Brian, you could chime in too. So you brought up how tired it looked or how drained Boots was at the end of his last fight against Karen. So now that he stayed at 147, if it was weight, how could he improve that? Go from that fight to this fight?
I'm gonna keep it 100. I call bullshit because Chukazan wasn't a fight that nobody called for. You know, we didn't want that fight. Mm-hmm. You know, you fought that fight, and I didn't want to see you fight a fighter that you already beat. Like, you already unanimous decision beat this guy up. Why do I want to see this fight again? So I didn't fall for the excuses. Like, I understand, you make a weight and it's hard, just like Devin Haney with the 135. Devin Haney catch a lot of shit about moving up from 135, but you could see in his frame that he's a bigger fighter, and he unified that division before he left. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we give Haney a lot of crap about being too big in the frame, but what has Boots Ennis done at 147 to where we've seen him have a performance like that?
Well, if he beats Stanionis, this is going to be the best win on his resume.
It will.
Clearly.
But what I'm saying, I'm speaking as it relates to I'm weight drained, I can't make
the weight drain.
I never saw him weak at 147. I never saw him to where he was like, that Chukazan fight, I felt like it was more of a little exposed. I don't know if he was looking past him, but I kind of gave him an even lower grade than a lot of people because, one, you had history with this guy. You went 12 rounds with this guy. You knew what this guy had. And for you to be that thrown off by his adjustments, like it I don't know. Am I hating him? What is it?
Like Roach mentioned earlier in the show, Chukazan was deducted a point for the holding.
Yeah.
Chukazan did a lot of dirty boxing in that fight, and you can tell when he was clinching Boots, he was like, look, his face, he was like rolling his eyes. He was looking very frustrated from all the clinching and the holding. Mm-hmm. That really got in his head. And I think he was more mentally drained than physically drained. I believe what he should have did was he should have just fought out the clinch. Right. Just punch out the clinch. Right. He was just sitting there looking very bothered, waiting for the ref to break up the clinch. And so I feel like that's what really frustrated. I don't think, like, the Chukazan strategy was perfect because you don't really see boxers really come at him like that, because Chukazan was running the first fight. He was running. That didn't work. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to come at him. I'm not going to be afraid of his power. And he just started mucking up the fight, and that threw him off. So what he needs to do is learn how to fight out the clinch.
But here's the thing. Boots is a combination, high output fighter. He throws very crisp combinations. Why wouldn't you hold? Like, you want to break right. that.
So Boots should be expecting that.
Right, you should expect for them to hold you. That's why I don't understand why, as high caliber, we have to stop talking like Boots at 33-0. Boots has been around the yard for a while. Like, we've been talking about Boots Ennis for years. So this is not a guy coming into it. This should be a guy that we should be talking about in the conversation for the top fighters in the world, not the Chukazan twice and trying to unify 147 with at the point in his career. And this is my thing with Boots. You're not at a Brian Norman. Brian Norman's 24 years old.
Right.
Brian Norman should be going through the growing pains that you're going through now. You should be coming into a more of a challenging for undisputed, challenging for some of the best fighters in the world.
He about to enter his prime.
Right. And again, it goes off of what you say. most of the crap that I give these fighters is not because of what they do in their resume. It's because of the shit that comes out of their mouth. They get in a ring, they tell you one thing, and then they do another. And my thing is, if you are at 147, if you are having problems with the weight, and weight training is real. It's real to outgrow a weight. Keyshawn Davis will outgrow 135. Shakur Stevenson at one point is going to outgrow 130. It's going to happen. But to say that you're going to do it and then not like the smoke that you're going to get as soon as you come up to 154, and that's my problem with Boots right now. It's not so much the weight. I don't think it's the weight at all. I think you hit it on the head with the mental thing. But how can Chukazan throw you that far off your spectrum after you already dominated him 12 rounds?
I'm going to blame his trainer and father, Derek Boots Ennis. He kept telling him, get him out of here. He said that a lot. Get him out of here.
So
get him out of
he
here.
was expending too much energy trying to knock him out?
This man got a 74-inch reach, which is probably the longest reach in the welterweight, and you're not using a jab. You can knock him out, but, jab him, work off the jab, and then you can do a combo and end up knocking him out. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to just go for the knockout. I think that was bad advice.
Okay.
All right. I feel you. So Boots is 33-0. So I know. So we got to keep it. He's obviously done 29 knockouts, but it's Byron. Do you smell an upset? I don't know if you call this an upset, but is it possible? Is Boots Ennis going to lose this fight? And if he is, who you got winning this fight and what round?
Listen, man, I'm in a bad mood today.
I love it. I love when you're in a bad mood
today.
I love when you ticked off.
Brian on Saturday, Brian Norman Jr. kind of messed me up. He had a performance like Boots should have had in December against Karen. And, he was fighting a guy that hadn't been knocked down, hadn't been knocked out, and he took the smoke right out of him. And so after looking at this fight, I've been going back and forth on this fight, and this is going to be my first upset of 2025.
Ooh, I love it.
I'm picking Stanionis in a unanimous decision. And I know
I love it.
I know I'm about to catch so much smoke, but I'm telling y'all,
I can't wait.
I think it's the aesthetics and looking at both of their past performances. And I don't think Boots is I don't think he has 10 toes in the 147-pound division. I don't. And it's, I know that his handlers might want to try to, wait out Terence Crawford, age him out. Because I swear, Adi's like one of the first people that I heard say that. People waiting out fighters and waiting there, aging them out. But man, I swear, I feel like it just really came to fruition. And I feel like he's ducking smoke. And when you duck smoke, it catches up with you. And I think it's catching up with him with Stanionis. Because I don't see Boots getting off that offense with a guy with this jab. And what I saw in that Karen Chukazan fight, I saw you backing up. And I'm not saying Chukazan had enough pop. I don't think he has enough pop that Stanionis have. But there were parts in that fight where he controlled the fight. But Boots won that fight hands down. Knockdown, point deduction.
Yep.
Won the fight hands down. I'm not saying that it was a robbery or anything. But again, just like Adi alluded to, you lost the championship rounds of that fight. And so you go from that fight to now fighting the number 3 147-pounder in the world. And I think he chose this fight because he didn't want to fight Brian Norman. And I think that was a very, very big mistake. I think you should have fought Brian Norman off of a 10-month layoff. And
coming off the hand surgery.
And coming off the hand surgery. Yeah. And basically working with that 74-inch reach, getting your jab. And I thought that would have been a perfect setup for him to then fight this fight to unify this division. I think he's taking the wrong direction, and I'm going to pick the upset. I'm going to pick Stanionis in a unanimous decision.
I love it.
And I know it's not going to be a popular opinion.
Wow.
But
You'd be surprised.
There are people that are looking at this young man that have looked at his amateur record. This is not somebody that you're going to be overly, you're not gonna scare him. He's not gonna be, looking at the bright lights and scared. I think he sees you as somebody he can beat, and I think he does.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
He wins.
Adi, are you Byron Stanionis with the unanimous decision?
Yeah, that's
Do
huge.
you agree with Byron?
Well, I mean, Stanionis, he's not scared. He signed up to fight Veril Ortiz Jr. twice. You know what I mean? And I wonder how much money Boots camp offered Brian Norman Jr. and compare that to how much they offered Stanionis, because that was a big problem with the Brian Norman thing. So in the last 8 years, only one man has not been KO'd by Boots Ennis, and that's Karen Chukajan. Okay, he's the only one in the last 8 years to not get knocked out by Boots. And I hope Derek Bootsy Ennis gives better advice than get him out of here. Okay? It's gonna take more than that.
Yeah.
And Boots Ennis, that 6-inch reach, he's gotta use it this fight. Stanionis is actually shorter than Chukajan. Use that reach. He has to use that, okay? And Boots loves to get into that switch hitting mode, and go from orthodox to southpaw.
Didn't do it in that second Chukazan fight though.
But I think his jab is more effective while in orthodox.
Okay.
I want to see him in orthodox a lot more. And Jaron Boots Ennis, he's coming off an underwhelming 2024. It's time for him to produce the best win on his resume. I'm going with Boots Ennis to win by unanimous decision.
I love it. So you got Boots unanimous decision. You got Stanionis.
in the
So I
upset.
love both of y'all opposite end of the spectrum. Real quick, I'm a big believer. You got to fight the person you're supposed to fight when that fight presents itself. And when you don't, I just feel like it's just bad things that happen. I mean, we've got plenty of examples to go by. I can go right now. But with that case, I'm picking Stanionis with the unanimous decision. I'm picking Stanionis with the unanimous decision.
Wow, I'm a lone wolf.
Yeah, because
Lone wolf.
I just like you brought up. I didn't like how he ended that fight, and I don't know. Like when I'm not sure a person is all in, it scares me. Even that last fight with Tank going against Lamont Roach, even though I picked Tank, I was a little nervous going to that fight as a Tank fan because I don't know if he was 100% in the fight, and I'm not sure if Boots is 100% in the fight, what he wants to do. He has, like you said, you just brought up conflicting stories that he's been saying. So I'm a little nervous about that. And boxing is one sport. If you ain't 100% in it, you're gonna lose. So
And with the high guard, I can't wait to see. Like, are you gonna get the jab off? Like, how are you gonna land your dynamic shots?
Yep.
Because this dude walks in on Tank. He done walks in on Tank mode, and that left that jab that he has and I think that's what turned it for me. Looking at him and that jab, I'm like, man, that's gonna be a hard jab to get around. And Boots likes to stay on the ropes a little bit too much. And if he's on the ropes in this fight, bro, I'm telling you, he's gonna lose rounds. And I don't trust you in the championship round. So hey,
I love it. We can't wait to see
I
it.
could be wrong.
You've been watching Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach, along with my partner, Adi Wiley. Shout out to Byron. Make sure y'all go on Spectator Sporting. Subscribe to that page. Go ahead and hit that like button. Leave comments. Also, subscribe on Spotify. Until then, in the meantime, in between time, we are out. Peace.